Thank you for the question. In fact, I've got a couple of them from my own kids. Uh,
Really cool.
yes, yeah, I had to ask. They're not online. I had to tell them to
Yeah.
text it to me. So one of my kiddos, they want to know what is the scariest character that you made or seen.
Oh wow. Scariest character that I so the scariest character that I've seen, I watched Alien when I was way too young to watch Alien. And that had a pretty big effect on me. And I love that's one of my favorite movies of all time. But that movie and I a lot of it has to do with you don't even really in that first movie, you don't really even see the alien that much.
Yeah.
And that led to a lot of the what is this thing? It's but it's so weird because they this rated R movie they actually made toys. They made a like an alien toy. So I never had that toy. I wish I did. But I had a friend who had it. So, I mean, you push the button, the mouth comes out, and it's like this classic holy grail toy for a lot of people, this original alien toy. Um, but so that was it. But I remember having this puzzle. It came in like an egg, and you open the egg out and all the little puzzle pieces, and then you build the alien. So it's a pretty good. You could see what it kind of looked like once you built the puzzle. So even though you don't see it on screen that much, so yeah, the alien was probably the scariest creature. I'm trying to think as far as scariest creature that I've created. I don't know my comic. I love horror and I love sci-fi and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of the things that I do have to do with that. But I also like I said, Goonies and stuff like that. So my stuff, I don't know. I've drawn a lot of like horror characters, but sometimes I'll add humor to them, or I've drawn Frankenstein many times. I've drawn the creature from the Black Lagoon many times. Like my favorite creature design is probably Creature from the Black Lagoon, even though I wouldn't necessarily say he's the scariest, but he's just got a cool look, and the fact that he was created so long ago and really still really holds up. That's one character that I find myself drawing over and over again. And then I've the zombies and stuff. I guess maybe the zombies in my book are kind of scary because they're all falling apart, and so yeah, I don't know. I've drawn a lot of sort of scary stuff, but I don't know. It's hard to say.
Here goes another question.
All right.
How did you discover your passion for comic making, and how did you make your first comic, and how he got the ideas for it?
Okay.
Several
So
questions.
the first comics I remember making, that was probably there was a time where I, like when I said I first discovered the spinner racks at the 7-Elevens and stuff. And somewhere along the lines, as I'm reading these books, I started recognizing art styles of different artists. Different books would have different artists. I'm like, this is the same guy that drew this. And then, putting the pieces together. No, these things aren't like magic. They didn't just appear. Somebody had to draw this stuff. And I'm like, wait, that's an actual job that people can have, drawing comics. And then the light went off in my head, and like, that's what I want to do. So I would go to school, and on the back of sometimes they have a stack of old like printouts and stuff like just sitting there, and like I either take my work, the things I was supposed to be working on, and on the backs I would draw comics, or I took my old assignments, or they had these stacks of just paper that that had like math problems on one side and it's blank on the other side. And so a lot of my old comics you turn it over, it's got like an assignment on the front and the back. So I just take this paper and I just start drawing comics to the best of my ability. And, I didn't realize back then that, usually when you're drawing comics, you work at a larger size and you reduce it. I just, so I would take a comic book, I put it on the sheet of 8.5 by 11. I trace the outline so it'd be the right dimension. And then I'd start, get my ruler out, start drawing the things. And I also was from an early age was kind of big into like branding and all that kind of stuff. I noticed the difference between Marvel and DC and some of these other independent companies. And I'm like, well, I'm going to create my own comic book company. And so I spent more time. I don't know how many of those comics I actually finished. There may have been one, but more of it was just creating different characters. Oh, this is part of this team, and this is going to be branded under this. This is my comic book company. And then, but I got to do another team. And so I would build all these different teams, most of them which I have, like if I look back at my old comics, which I still have some of those, I'd look back at those and then be like, oh, there'd be like a 2-page story, and then I'd quit and do something else. So, but yeah, that was but it was always me. I didn't have an art desk. I would just sit on the floor on the carpet and just draw I put a book down, put the paper on top, and just draw comics, and that's where it all started.
Very creative. Here's a question: Marvel or DC?
I would probably say more Marvel. Although I mean, you probably can't see this behind me, but I've got a mural here. You can see a
Yes.
little hint of Superman over here.